podcast dedicated to empowering talent acquisition professionals like you. I'm your host, Prafulla Deori, Head of Talent Acquisition at an MNC. I'm thrilled about today's episode. I'm Recruiter is a global community exclusively for TA professionals. Our vision is to build premier global community for talent professionals. Our mission is to empower 100K talent acquisition professionals to evolve from traditional recruiters to trusted talent advisors. Unlike other communities, I'm Recruiter is built by recruiter and for recruiter. It's a genuine and safe space to exchange knowledge, connect with peers, find mentorship, and discover job opportunity. If you enjoyed the podcast today, show your support by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Ready to join our thriving community? Fill out the form in the comment section. Let's redefine the talent acquisition together. With this, I would like to introduce our guest, Srinivas Burli, known affectionately by his last name Burli. He brings about over 20 years of experience to the table. Currently, Burli is making a significant impact at Amazon India following an influential tenure at Twilio. His expertise encompasses recruiting, setting up and scaling organizations from scratch, and leading talent acquisition initiatives. Burli's education foundation is solid with PhD in HRM from Symbiosis and a leading strategic change certificate from IIM Bangalore. His career achievements include establishing Twilio across a region, building Prime Video, Prime Music, and several other tech organizations at Amazon India from ground up. He is highly regarded for his deep market research skills and talent for building organizations from ground up. He is also passionate about improving candidate experience and mentoring budding recruiters. Burli is dedicated leader and driving force in the HR and TA domains. Welcome, Burli, to I Am Recruiter podcast.
Hey, thanks, Prafulla. That was a very humbling intro. Thanks a ton for that. It's my pleasure to being here today.
Thank you, Srinivas, for your time. Great. So, with this, I would like to start today's podcast with bit about your background. Can you share a bit about your career journey and how you get into talent acquisition?
Yeah, well, it's just been about, like you said, it's just been about 20 years for me being a recruiter. I'm a recruiter by choice, by the way. It started way back in May 7th, 2004. I started as a freelancer working for Meritrack, which was an assessment company back then. From there on, I completed my studies. I did my HRM, PhD. I worked with almost about 3.5 years with the consulting organization, learned the ABC of sourcing, and then traveled across the country, did campus, and then corporate recruiting happened. It almost about I spent about 3.5 to 4 years with multiple telecommunication organizations, Huawei, Cisco, Alcatel, Lucent. Fantastic experience in terms of understanding how a corporate recruiter works and what are the true essentials that we need to learn when we are recruiting for companies or large organizations. From there, Amazon happened in 20. Although being and brought up in Bangalore, I was looking forward for Amazon because it was hardly about a kilometer away from my place where they bought an office. Bangalore in World Trade Center, Orient Mall. I was like behind that. I didn't know what is Amazon, by the way, back then, right?
Okay.
So it was just about a walkable distance for me. So the goal was get to somewhere which is close by, you can walk. But it turned out that I was interviewed for Bangalore and I was asked to report into Hyderabad. That's a small fun fact there, but I figured it has been a fantastic journey with Amazon. Has been fortunate enough to be a part of the transformation journey of how India buys and sells. Right, fortunate to witness that closely and also be a contribute to that journey. That's been a phenomenal experience. And then I moved on to this journey went on for about close to 9+ years, 2012 to 2021. And then I went on to Twilio Technologies, a PSaaS company wherein they were setting up in India at that point of time. I started journey as managing their technology hiring, manager, rather technology hiring TM manager. And then within about 18 months of time, we were able to set up India region, establish it across APAC. And then I was managing EMEA as well. At given one point of time, I was managing both APAC and EMEA. But Amazon being Amazon, it was a home calling. The second innings with Amazon started, and during November 22, I'm currently in the capacity of a recruiting leader, managing the hiring for some of the tech organizations within Amazon, being based out of Bangalore, Prafulla. So, in a nutshell, that's been my journey so far.
Great, great. Thank you so much for your brief introduction, Burli. Since you would love to call as Burli.
Yeah,
Great. So you mentioned about you were born and brought up in Bangalore, and you were somewhere the other side of Bangalore because I stay in Electronic City side, which is quite a
right.
corner. So
Apple.
yeah. So where are you based out in Bangalore, Srinivas?
I'm currently based in towards
Okay.
Yelahanka, towards the airport
Okay.
side of
Okay.
Bangalore. I'm born and brought up near the Mahalakshmi layout and Rajajinagar. Thus, that locality or that community is where I'm born and brought up. It's been about 6, 7 years. I've moved towards this side of the city.
Okay. Great, good to know. Uh, but again, we all can witness the traffic as well, along with the growth of the tech companies here in Bangalore,
Let's not talk about it.
right? Great. So, what have been some of your most significant milestones in your career? Because you have been in the recruitment industry for almost 20 years. Definitely, you have seen the phases, gone through different milestones as well in your career. So, what are some of the significant milestones you want to share with us?
Like I said, I'm a recruiter by choice, not by chance. What I meant by that is, I was a part of Meritrack. We were in BCom. I studied in Seshadripuram College, Bangalore University, and I happened to get associated with Meritrack via Common Connects, right? So it was all pocket money and so on and so forth. My career goals during that time was a chartered accountant. I was fabulous in accounting, taxation, so on and so forth. Meritrack happened. We went there. We did a lot of. It was a mass event coordination. There is a lot of BPO and call center boom. There was mass interviews which are happening. We were coordinating those assessments. That's where it sort of clicked for me that this is pretty exciting. Now I think instead of getting into accounting, do I have a career in recruiting? I'm seeing some passion here. For myself, I was able to explore and say that I can contribute here. I can learn here. I can do better job here, right? So it's that was my first milestone, so to say, which sort of the basic seed for any bigger tree to come up, right? So that was that moment in my career. From there on, there has been several milestones wherein, like all of us started, it was all contractual job back then.
Yeah.
The first goal for you to is to get into a full-time role in a corporate company, right? So that took some time for me to land into a full-time FTE role, so to say, right? So it took until 13 September for me to be at Amazon. Even Amazon, I joined as a third-party contractor. That
Okay.
was a sort of second milestone. But then on, more than personal milestone, I would say the professionally the contributions and the learnings what I got through this journey, like the lens changed the moment I became that FTE, the lens changed, wherein I started looking at the milestones as what is that I am contributing to the org, and how that is impacting in the long term, right? So from that angle, if I were to say, got brilliant opportunity, was lucky as well to be in at the right time there. For example, the Prime Video, the Prime Music, what you cited there, bang on. I mean, being a tech recruiter, we were trying to set up Prime Video and Prime Music. It takes a different ballgame altogether. And if I look back and stand today and see, hey, how does these orgs performing, how does they are growing, that's a milestone. Those are some of the proud moments. And even Twilio, when we established, it was just when I joined there, they had just set up a base team of about 50, 60 people, and then now where it is. So those are some of the milestones I call it. But it all after this, for me personally, after this, these two milestones, one the merit track, and then one the conversion into an FTE. From then on, the lens at which I look at the milestone has changed.
Great, great. I totally echo that. Like, for anyone to get into corporate is like you have to go through the contract first, then probably like some extension of couple of contracts. Then if you prove yourself, then you get to FTE role. Even same happened to me and like many other TA leaders or TA folks we have spoken in our podcast. It's almost the similar journey, right? Moving to our next question. So, how do you approach building and scaling the talent acquisition function from scratch? And the reason why I'm asking you this question because you have experience building Twilio, like when there were very few employees. Similarly, you have built couple of different business says all together in Amazon as well, right? So, just wanted to know from you how you have done that and what it takes to build those organizations.
Yeah, so there is no one size fits approach, fits all approach here. There's no standard template per se. However, over the period of time, I did learn certain basic stuffs wherein you can apply across, right? So some of the organizations when I started way back in my career when we were trying to build, even with Huawei, I got a brilliant opportunity to build something from scratch as well. That's where I learned the ABC of building something from scratch, wherein we were all just pushing the resume to a hiring manager. Back then, I'm talking about, and this hiring manager or this particular cause at which we were trying to attempt for needed something different beyond that. And we sent out. I sent out. When I say we, it is only me who was working for that. So sent out so many resumes, but nothing was happening. Um, and there was a point where conversion was not going through. There were too many roles to be closed, and when the hiring manager sat me down on what's going on, I was clueless. I said, these are throw 3 4 skills you have sent. I am doing the match the following job and I'm sending it to you. No, what else? This gentleman was a very learned man, very renowned name in the industry. He sat me down, he explained me through and through on what is that they are building, why is that they are building, and where is that they want to go in 1 2 3 4 years down the line, and if they want to get there, what is that it is needed for them. And then he gradually came back and connected that to a skill set. So during that entire process, what I realized was whatever the skill set I was just looking at, it is like it's a 15th or 20th step in the process. There is so much so which is happening in the background. So there came the understanding about business acumen. There came the understanding about what is the talent landscape. There came the understanding about the prioritization. There came the understanding about don't just push the resume. There is so much so beyond that. And then develop a working backwards around a milestone based approach on where do you want to get to, and then how do you track yourself against. So these are the basic fundamentals which I learned over there. One, you can apply to a recruiting life recruiter in any of the scenarios, as well as in building this organization as well. So this is the same template I go with whenever I'm looking at whenever I get the opportunity to sort of build something from the scratch. Here and there we may do the third one will become fourth one, or the sixth one will become first one from a prioritization perspective. So that's the broader template I go with, Prafulla.
Great. I totally agree with you, Burli. Definitely, the talent landscape and the business acumen is very important. Like when you are not only building an organization from scratch, but anywhere you go, right?
Anyway,
Like
anyway.
you have mentioned, truly, right? It keep changing the priorities wise. But these are some of the building blocks, I would say, which is
Absolutely.
important just to upscale yourself from the traditional recruiters to a talent advisor role.
Precisely that. Nail on its head, rather. So I call it as talent advisor. We have to be talent advisor. We have to be talent partners than just pushing those resumes from one place to another. That's how we get perceived often. But when we do these additional steps, automatically we get into that advisory roles, which is the role that we should perform.
Agree. Great. So, since we also talked how you have built and scale up team, what are the different things required? I also wanted to understand what are some of the challenges you have faced in your talent acquisition journey, and how did you overcome that? And definitely, sometimes little push from other external factor is required. Some push from internal also it's required. So, how did you overcome those challenges? Definitely, I am 100% sure that everyone have some or the other challenges.
Absolutely, man. So the initial struggle days on offer conversion, too many offer declines, which you are seeing. In my days, I didn't even get to offer decline. My issue was at resume rejection stage. It started at that, to be honest, right? Whatever resumes I was getting, it was getting rejected. Forget about offer decline. So it started from that, and gradually it went till offer, and then offer decline. So this through and through phases, I faced issues. The during that phase, all it looked was the world. The sky has come down on your head. Nothing is going to work. Did I make a mistake by choosing recruiting? I was good at something else as well. This is what which went in there initially. But the again, similar to that hiring manager which I said, there is another senior leader who sort of I went and approached. I had a conversation. Then they changed my mindset on why are you looking at the number of resume rejections? That's an output for you. What is the input, and where is the input? Have you looked at your input levers are in right place, and forget about output. Output will come. Output will happen. He changed that lens for me, and the moment I looked at it, now why is that resume rejection happening? Which is pretty much about dive deep, right? So there was no dive deep which was happening at that particular time. I mean, I'm taking an example of when I was a rookie. So why is that rejection happening? Now, what is it being expected? Is it something you have matched? If you are getting rejected, have you gone back and understood why there is rejection happening? If there is no talent available, why there is no talent available? What are the different alternate skill sets you can look at? What are some of the skill set which you can train? What are some of the areas which are mandatory? So it opened up me up to plethora of conversations like this. The moment I shifted my lens from just looking at an output versus input, right? And that fundamental stuff is something which I has carried, I've carried it along my journey, and it applies today as well. On the other example of your business, how do you sort of create those regions? Now regions would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things over there. One, you need to set it up somewhere, you need to brand, you need to establish, you need to recruit, you need to build a momentum about that in the market, right? So on and so forth. Now what are the inputs to do that? I automatically start applying that. The mind is tuned in that way now, so it works.
Thank you for sharing. Great. So again, you also mentioned about like talent landscape, right? So during the talent landscape or recruiting landscape, even you mentioned during your intro that like candidate experience is one of the important thing as well, right? So why candidate experience is so crucial in today's recruiting landscape, from your point of view?
It is the candidate experience is something which is relevant across in any point of time, not only for today's point of time, Prafulla, but simply very let's say look at it from a very basic perspective. If we go to any restaurant, we order some food. Let's say we have chosen we have planned to get into a lavish restaurant, and we have planned our financials around it. We book the table, we go there, and if you don't get welcomed, if you don't get a menu on time, if you don't get a food on time, if the quality is not on time, it all boils down to and the experience and the ambience, right? So it all boils down to why that restaurant is calling you, because you would have heard somewhere. Now, after going there, if you don't experience that for yourself, whatever you've heard, you will never go back to that. As simple as that. How much ever the food is good, just because of food, you will not go there. You will all of these other factors also matter. That applies to. I mean, that's my expectation whenever I go to a restaurant or I leave my vehicle for service, whatever. That's the similar thing which happens with candidates as well. I mean, the as per studies, more than 50 or 60% of the candidates who do not take your brand, or who will leave that brand following because your candidate experience is screwed up. So that's the next customer what you're hiring for. You never know, right?
Yeah.
So that's about why the importance. But look at it the different way. If you need to get the candidate experience right, again, that's an output. If that needs to be proper, in the backend, all your processes and systems have to be in line. Why would the candidate experience fail today? Either I'll not even call them, I'll ghost them. I'll take about 5.5, 6 months to complete that process. I'll not tell them what's happening at all in terms of what is first step, what is happening in the next step, when is it happening. Nothing. I'm not telling them. I'm not giving them right preparation pointers. Now, if we need to fix all of these, and if we fix that, if it is running like a well-oiled machine, which means your entire recruiting system is working properly. You will go back and educate your interviewers. You'll increase the population of interviewers within your organization. You will give them stringent timelines to enter the feedback and take the interviews. Reduce interview declines, schedule declines. And at the recruiter front, they should be on toes in having that connects with the candidate, setting up the right expectations, closing it everything on the timelines. So it's a well-oiled engine which is working. So just in the
Yep.
name of candidate experience, if you work backwards as an input, your entire recruiting function is working smoothly.
Agree. And right example, Burli, right, definitely when we have heard about a brand, and definitely when we heard from multiple different people, we always wanted to go and try there, right?
Yeah.
And once we go and try, and if we don't have the same experience, definitely we are not going to buy that. So it's not only with like the restaurant or anywhere, right? Even with our companies, right? We as a recruiter face those things because of certain some of the processes are not aligned, right, which you have mentioned. Everything is have to be smooth, like you have mentioned, oiled, so that it is running smoothly. Great. So one of other question which I wanted to ask you is like, since you have built uh, teams, you have built different organization from scratch, right? When you are building a team, right, some of the more challenging moment which I have felt or personally or some other recruiters have failed or faced are like, how do you manage different team members of yours? Like every individual is so unique, every individual motivation factor is so different, right? How do you manage those people, right, in your team? Because that is one of the more challenging thing, I would say, right, managing the people, right? So what's your call on that, and what's your take?
Absolutely, man. That's a good question. Thanks for that. In fact, I would say the first thing is to be a human being. And I'll explain why I say that as well. Being in continuous busy schedule and so on and so forth, we always tend to forget with those tight timelines, we are interacting with human beings. We are in between society. These teams are human beings. So there are different, all like you said, people are unique. They come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different stages of career, different life stages, different expectations, different skill sets. So now how do you put everybody together into that to drive towards a common goal? For that, first you need to be a human being, wherein you should understand what are their expectations, what are their different strengths and areas of opportunities. I would call it as growth areas. And then are they aligned towards a common goal, what you're trying or your organization is trying to move towards? And now, how do you educate them about those goals, and how do you sort of empower and enable them with respect to their strengths and growth areas? These becomes a critical factors in putting together a team, aligning them together for a cause. I would still call it as a cause, although we would in management terminologies, in business terminologies, we call it in all different ways. Being a human being, that's why I said I'm attaching back to the human being, because there is a lot of emotions which are also playing out here. The
Yes.
cause is, I say cause in quotes because that is somewhere it is getting aligned to the emotions. So once this is established, then you have done the 50% of the job. Then you need to go play around in terms of, when I say the play begins from here, and then you need to sit with them, enable them, figure out what are different, either the technologies, either coaching, either mentorship, either you going and sitting. I've done that. I go sit with my people to understand, can I put my hands maybe 5 minutes, but I may be bad at it, but let me show whatever the experiences I have had, that would give you some lesson from that. Maybe the mentor and coaching would not have given you this perspective as well. So all of that will start moving them towards, and then the growth. performance management, so on and so forth. But the basic is here.
Agree. Definitely. I think in the TA team or TA community, I would say everyone is so much busy with the requirement, with the demand and everything. We sometimes try to run so fast that we tend to forget, right? We are dealing with human, right? We are dealing with emotions, and everyone have different feelings, different emotions, different interest as well, right? Career aspiration as well. And as a manager, as a leader, sometimes we tend to forget and we try to apply one thing to all, which is not correct, right? And definitely whatever you have told, we have to go, we have to understand what each person likes, dislikes, what his or her motivation factors, and accordingly we have to like put him or her to that career goal or journey towards success. Great. So since you have also mentioned about mentorship and coaching little bit, right? So can you also give brief little bit about like uh, in your career journey, what kind of mentors you have received? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because whatever we have received, whatever we have experienced, we try to express those things out as well, right? To the society as well, or to our teams. Like definitely same might happen to you or anyone else. Like, so what kind of mentorship you have got in your past? What kind of team you have got? What kind of coaching you have received? And so what do you think about mentorship? And how do you guide the, I would say, budding recruiters who are future leaders?
Absolutely. No, thanks for asking that. In fact, as you were speaking, I was trying to think through in my mind who have been my mentors. So initially, those days, unlike how the mentorship program has evolved over the period of time now, those days when we were rookie starters, at least in my ecosystem, it never existed from a
Yeah,
formal perspective. It is you who will have to go and figure out. So in
yeah,
my initial conversation, I was telling you one hiring manager sat me down, one senior leader sat me down. So in my mind, I was thinking I should go and figure out these senior leaders, be it a tech leader, business leader, a TA leader, HR leader, whomever I could go and have that conversation and trust them to express myself and then get some learning. I used to go and meet them. I used to sit with them. And my learnings throughout, while I'm not a voracious reader, these days I've started picking up books and I do read. They have been a good help for me. But my learning comes from connecting with people, be it a CEO, be it a auto rickshaw driver, be it a lift operator. I try to interact with all of them and try to get some life perspectives from them. And then if you give some deeper thoughts and you can convert them into your professional learnings, or you can put them into your practice in your life as well. That has something which has worked out for me in the past. Like I said, the people have told me about stick to the basics. It applies to my life, it applies to recruiting as well. Now we are complicating recruiting with so many things, but recruiting is just about, very, very simply put, lamely put, it's a bridge between a talent and opportunity and vice versa, nothing else. For that to happen efficiently, you need to focus on relevant inputs. And even that applies to your career also. We want to be a VP, CEO, want to earn X million, X dollars. That's an output with a timeline we put for ourselves. Now, if we have to get there, you need to plan working backwards, which is based on your input and milestone. So those learnings I have got at that particular point of time. But during these, when I got into leadership sort of roles, I did got into some official, formal mentorship programs where the being human aspect, what I said, and my my three principles for leadership is being human, enable, and empower. This is something I've learned through from my, I call them gurus. So got it from those gurus. And even to my mentors, I sort of try telling them that don't run behind fame and success. That will come. Focus, focus. Keep it simple. Keep it very, very simple. Keep focus on inputs and be human.
great. I totally do agree. For me as well, right? Finding a mentors, like people used to, and back days, like you have mentioned, there were no mentor and mentee thing and all those things, coach and all, right? Whatever we get input from our different leaders, different people, we try to implement those things. And most of the time when you go back and take out some time for yourself, you can relate everything, right? Some of the words what other people have told you, you can try to relate that particular thing to your personal life, or let's say with your professional life, and you can relate those things. Yeah, this might be the reason what that person have told, and it might be working. Great. Again, like one of the leader whom I personally have met in my life, he is not he's outside of India, and in my previous organization only, right? So he is a great leader, and he asked me one question, right? So can you think about a leader uh, with whom you have some of the bad experiences,
Mm-hmm.
right? And can you also think about a leader with whom you have got some of the very good experiences? Now, can you write those things down? And can you also tell me now, if you become a leader tomorrow, what are the things you would like to carry forward? Are these list of bad things which you have experienced in your life, or are these list of things which you have experienced in your life? So, as a
Absolutely.
human tendency, we always try to choose the list of things which we experience good, right? So I told him the same thing. Yes, I want to be a this leader and that leader and all those things. But when time comes, again, like we we all have moved from IC to a manager, right? And when the transition happen, you tend to forget lots of different things. You think in one direction, but
Yes.
that doesn't work, right?
Yes. And
As you
also
said,
this is
yeah,
evolution. This evolves over a period of time, even within us. You've had fantastic career. You, like you said, whatever the manager you wanted to be, you've listed down. Now I'm sure you've done that you a few years ago. Now if you look back, you would have evolved somewhere from there positively, right? So but the basics, whatever you learn there, that won't change, but this evolution is where the changes will come. But that's where that specific basics becomes very fundamental, becomes very, very critical there.
totally agree. Totally agree. Great. But again, like one also good thing what I have learned is like the human factor which you have mentioned, right? Everyone is unique and everyone is different, right? So don't judge everyone with the same lens or something, right? Everyone is different. Everyone's journey is different. Experience is different. So try to be human. Try to understand. Be on this who's why it's not happening, why it's happening, and all those things. And definitely, if you talk to that person, he or she or they will definitely try to understand.
Absolutely.
Awesome, great. Moving to our next question. You also like in our discussion, we have also seen that you are good with market insights and market informations and or insights, market intel, you can say, right? So you also mentioned like about reading different stuff which you were not doing earlier. So how this how first question is how do you collect market intel as a leader, right? And how is reading book helping you in your growth path as well?
Right. Right. The research has been something which is closer to my heart, man. I always felt in my mind that once the requirement comes is when we go back and start searching for profiles in all the job boards, so on and so forth, right? So why do I have to do this all the time? The thought started from there in my mind long ago, and then I went around asking people. I want to know, this is my talent world, and any skill set comes up or any requirement comes up, I have 10 boxes in front of me labeled with this skill set. And if you give me a skill or a role, I'll pick up, I'll put my hand into that box, I'll pick it up and I'll come back to you and I'll give it to you. This is a fantasy sort of a thought. It started from there. And I went around asking. Then I realized there is market intelligence, market insight, so on and so forth. Work is happening. I interacted with lot many recruiters. Apparently, what came out was there is the knowledge is there, but it is all scattered around. It is not complete. I bumped into one of the core market researchers. I sat down with them. I understood how do they do they do the research, and is there any learnings we can take it and adopt to my sourcing or my research. It started from there, and I did sort of build something around it, and we were able to sort of change. First, identify the candidate whom you want to hire. and then work backwards from there in engaging them and attracting them, engaging them, and then converting them, than the other way around. So then the entire process looks differently, and there is a lot of efficiency, and that's the biggest bridge for making our recruiters into talent advisors. So that's something which worked out fantastically well for us. I mean, it's not a rocket science than how all of us are doing. It's just the way to look at it is completely different. Works in a different passion. You would be doing step one. I would do step 4 first in my research. One is going ahead across. We same thing. We'll study internet. We'll talk to people. We'll connect the dots. Figure out with your friend, their common connects, and then bring it all together. Try to see. It's proper CBI sort of an investigation in putting together everything. And it may not be 100%. Even if it is 70% accurate on whatever you're putting together, that will give the results what we're looking for.
Okay. And what about the second part? Like you have mentioned about
Books
like
part.
reading. Yes.
So books have been my closest friends, man. In fact, my wife is a voracious reader. She reads so many books, and there is a almirah of books across everything. I mean, she reads, but she asked me to be one like her, but I can't. But the things which, from a book's perspective, which got me going was those managerial books, those leadership books. How can we do better, and so on and so forth. So the any leadership thing which I'm able to talk today is also based on that book, right? So I have read multiple books around the EQ leadership and the IQ versus the IQ leadership, and the fundamentals of leadership into the management practices, so on and so forth. There are multiple of them specifically in this, and then procrastination, and then how
Yes.
can you sort of do the design thinking and clear thinking. So these are something which I read. While from my absorption perspective, I cannot observe all of them together. So what I do is whatever I could absorb, I go back and then I implement them. I see how that is working. I start pruning from there. It has given me a starting point. Now I need to evolve from there. What are my evaluation parameters? How do I, and the levers, how can I start evolving from them? And then after some point of time, I come back to the same book and see, and it will give me a different perspective.
Agree.
Right. So that different perspective becomes a new learning for you and a
Yes.
new input
Yes.
to go and implement.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that way, it has certainly helped. And I keep telling my people as well, all of my team members and mentees, that please go read this book. Spend some time. You'll not understand. You'll get bored, but give it some half an hour to it.
Yeah. I totally agree, right? I have done this course from I am Kozhikode on entrepreneurship last year, where
Mhm.
one of our professor have given up some case study. Okay,
Mhm.
so in that case study, he told us that once you read, you will not understand anything, right? You second time you read, you will get some part of it. Third time you get some deeper understanding of that things. So I can definitely relate what you have told, right? Whatever we can consume, just absorb it and try to implement those things. And based on that, try to go back and read again. And definitely every time you read, you are at a different stage altogether. And those stages also impact a lot how you perceive the things on those books and all. So my question
Exactly.
here is like, how do you got this habit of reading, right? Because for me also, I don't read much books. I want to, some of the books I have read, but again, like I don't have the habit of reading. So how can I get this habit of reading books?
Yeah. So for me, as I said, my wife has been a pushing factor. Go read. At the same time, one of my senior leaders some time ago, he was a voracious leader, and he used to come with a lot of those fancy English words which I never used to understand. And I come from a regional background, regional medium background, and my English sucks. So it took some effort for me to understand on whatever he's speaking. Then I went and asked him, "Where do you even get these words?" He said, "Dude, I've told you 1,000 times, go read." And then he gave me one book also. I said, "Okay, let me read." And then he said, "Come back to me with 10 new words that you learn from this along with the meanings. And then whatever the emails you're writing or the meetings where you're sitting, start using these things." So this became like a challenge for me, wherein at home also you're getting a push, and here also you're getting a push. I said, "Okay, let me learn this now." While those were all random English books, I mean literature books, not sorry, I should not be saying random for that, but there are too many things not specific to my interest, which is leadership, management, so on and so forth. So, but it gave me insight about, I mean, it helped me in bettering my communication, my dictionary of words, so on and so forth. So that challenge, when it proved on the ground that it has helped me, and I've moved up from, from first floor to 10th floor in my language and my English, that gave me a proof that, boss, please sit down and read. So I urge you to figure out one such thing within your life or career. It should not be too long a one. You should put minimal effort, and that minimal effort should show up quickly. Then it becomes a motivation for you to sort of go back, and then over a period of time, you'll get hooked up with that.
Totally agree. Sure. I will try to find something which I can relate to and I can start and pushing myself. Great. Thank you so much. So moving to our next question. Again, as a leader, right, we have to be up to date with the market trends, right? What's happening, what's not happening, and what's new technology in the market and all those things. Because every time you go, there is somebody other changes happening, right?
Right.
So what you do to do market research, right? What are some of the tips and tricks you can share with our audience? Like there are people who are working as a recruiter, there are people who are working as a leader. So what's your like go to thing when you need to do some market research about like recruitment or anything in general?
Got it. No, there is no standard sort of sources that I go to. Again, it depends upon that particular timing and the topic, what you want to do. Let's say from an industry trend perspective, there is a lot happening in today's industry, and I wanted to know around what are some of the tech companies that are doing in terms of skill development. What is government doing? Government bodies are doing for the skill development at the granular level, root levels, and how over the period of time it is going to help us, right? So there was some study we needed. Default, there are a lot of forums, right? There is NASCOM, there is CI, there is a lot of other institutions who do all this market research. This is readily available data. You need not have to even pay for them. It is given on a, it is up on a public domain, so that will give you an indication on where is it heading. And then go back and talk to some of the college grads, what's going on. You'll get some more knowledge. Anecdotals will come from there. There is a data, there is anecdotal. And then our campus recruiters would have had this data. They would have had some experiences. So when you put together all of this, you'll start seeing a story which is unfolding there. And that story is where you need to use for your consumption. So let's say if I am going to give, for example, for Twilio, we were setting up something and we were looking at how, where is the next 10,000 students are going to come from, if that is the problem statement, and what are their academics, and when are they going to pass out, and what are the skill sets that they're being trained at the college level itself, and where are they interned, right? So all of these conversations will give you some indication around this is what is happening, and this you would take it up to the leadership and present it and talk about, and get to, once you decide on next steps, you can go deeper.
Sure, sure. Definitely, I think that is very useful. Like we all know that there are lots of uh, public reports available in the market, but again, like we need to have some time set up for those things, and we have to
Yes.
again connecting with people, uh, talking to students. Definitely also help what's happening in the like university level or in terms of technology level because their point of view might be different from the report perspective, and when you club it together, you see the whole landscape or whole picture altogether in terms of
Absolutely, and especially in any research, Prafulla, especially today, there is a humongous amount of information and data which is available out there. So, be it on this research or earlier when we were talking about the other topic on the research, as a researcher, one is to have patience. We should have that patience to go deeper, and before even getting to the research, we should identify what are the sources from where I'll get the information out from. That itself is a research. How do you list down the sources of information, and why do you choose that information? What is the authenticity of that information, right? And then you will go deep, and you should also know at what point you should stop that research, because there is a humongous information which is out there today in today's market.
yep, yep, agree. So my next question for you is because we have list of recruiters, like there are many TA leads who want to become a leader, right? So since you have been in the leadership role for quite some time now, right, you have experienced that, right? So what tips you have for these leads, or let's say any recruiter who want to become or move towards a management role or become a leader? What are the things they can do to become a better leader?
Absolutely. From a leadership standpoint, like I said, the thumb rule is to be a human for sure. But moving ahead from that, one should know, one should have the self awareness. Whoever is getting it's applicable to everybody, but especially from a transitioning from IC to a manager and continuing from a leadership roles. How self aware are you about yourself? What are the qualities that you have? What motivates you? What puts you off? What kind of activities that you are good at, what is that you are not so great at. That's one. And then the other rule there is around being a good listener, having that patience and being a good listener, and then not getting worried or anxious about or insecure, feeling insecure about my team member is better than me. All of that should be taken away, right? So if you were to speak at a very very high level, at 16,000 feet high level, I would say these three four things becomes very essential. Unless and until you're not aware about yourself, you will not know how the other person, you don't even know how to assess the other person. I'm not talking about judgment, I'm just talking about assessment. We are nobody to judge anybody because it's all unique, it's all momentary. So how do you assess? Unless and until you know how to assess yourself, you can't assess anybody. And then how do you ensure you understand the person, you understand their space in detail? For that you have to be a good listener and open for feedback. And then comes your capabilities around how do you sort of anchor the ship. For that, if you are the captain and if there is somebody else who can be better than the captain who is available on the ship, you should be open to that, to give the baton to them. You can run that boss, you can do a fantastic job. So if these are done right, I think the fundamental steps are taken care, and then we can move ahead from there.
Nice advice, Burli. Thank you so much for sharing. Awesome. Since we are almost on a time, there are a couple of more questions I have. I will quickly try to ask those questions. So, regarding the future of TA, right? How do you see the future of TA, and how do you think technology will continue to impact the recruitment process? Having said that, we have now Chat GPT, we have now Gemini, we have again, like WhatsApp also have their own Llama as well,
Yeah.
right? So there are lots of different things coming all together. How do you see the technologies impacting recruitment processes?
Awesome. Now we are at a very very interesting phase, man. Just not from TA, but from overall tech standpoint, we are in a very interesting phase. And 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 it's gonna be a phenomenal shift over to the human evolution itself. I'm talking at a very high level again, but coming specifically to recruiting now. uh, we started way back where job boards are also not there. So now all of these technologies are making our recruiters even more intelligent. They are already smart. These enabling technologies are helping us to build those efficiencies and make the entire process much more flawless and frustration free. Even with anything that is coming from AI, I've been through some of the AI tools which are working towards recruiting, and I've been a part of some of the conversations. Interesting innovations and experimentations are taking place. Now, people, there is another concept which is going out in the market that it will take away job and then entire TA function will become redundant. These are human with whom we are interacting with. There is a lot of emotions, and these emotions and humans, if you give the decision making ability to machines, you can't give that 100% because the use case are very humongous.
Yeah,
Computer understands zeros and ones, not the human emotions. While you can bake in some of those decisions, but not 100%. So TA function is not going to go anywhere, at least in my opinion. But we are going to become much much better and flawless in our executions. be it how you identify a resume, how you do the scheduling of the interviews, how do you work towards all the data that we have in terms of assessing or in terms of diving deep. How do you put together data today? Today it may take humongous amount of time. Tomorrow it might be a click of a button. You might have all the dashboards ready in front of you. And then even the research what we're talking about, I told about all those different sources. Click of a button, it might throw you the entire just there. But the flip side is we might tend to become complacent, but we have to be active in putting together our focus in whatever is coming out from here. Is it right? Is it wrong? And if it is right, how can we build further from that, and how can we take inferences from that, and how do we use it? So it is going towards that direction, but I am really excited about what is going to come in the future for recruiting.
Totally agree. Even I am very much hopeful of being a positive impact using the technology in recruitment and in general as well. But on the other hand, if you also need to see, and the reason why I'm asking you, because you are a tier leader and you have seen the market as well, right? So if you see some of the roles, right, for example, manual testing and other things are moving away, right? And
Yeah.
instead of that, we are seeing more of data analytics kind of role or prompt engineer kind of role, which are evolving. So why do you think there is a shift, and why do you think these kind of manual testing roles and other roles which are very much human dependent are getting reduced, and where other roles are getting more exposure or getting created in terms of data analytics or data engineer or like say prompt engineer roles?
Right. See, here, in terms of some of the roles, what you see, I'm going beyond and or outside of recruiting. There are today it might sound like these are human dependent, but if we go a little more deeper, the A to B point may not be human. I mean, the A to B point may be human, but the in between whatever is happening there is not human. What do I mean by that is you want to ship a apple from point A to point B. There is a sender, there is a receiver. Now whatever the shipping thing which is happening here is not human. All you need is the ship to be the apple to be put in a good packet, safety packet, good apple in a nice packet, and then you put it in a shipping thing. And then imagine suddenly, what is that? Some of your, I'm not getting the name also. Some of the technology sort of flies it, right? So now, those kind of stuff, why not you put them into systems, right? Having said that, now you might come back and say those drivers who are taking it, they might lose their job. But that is a part of human evolution, isn't it? We were having bullock carts. From there to here, we are talking about today. Those bullock cart drivers are also still there. They're doing something there. Their skill set they need to evolve somewhere, and they will still have the jobs for them. May not be as a bullock cart driver. I'm just taking a very lame example here,
Yeah.
but a bit of upskilling will give them a different role in the same ecosystem. It's not going to go away. Instead of you doing job A, you would be doing A plus B somewhere else. That's the upskilling. I mean, that's where you're seeing a lot of data scientists coming in. That's where you're seeing a lot of LLMs, machine learning engineers. So some of these things will go away. You got from teller to a banker to a phone banking today. Doesn't mean your actual banker job is gone. There is somebody who's
Yeah.
doing it. At the same time, instead of 10 people doing it, there may be 3 people doing it, but there is occupancy for those 7 as well with additional skill set somewhere else.
Agree. So, just to conclude, definitely AI is not going to take any jobs. We have to upskill and like we have to do some more better jobs instead of other very manual job in
Absolutely.
general. Great. So moving to our next question, like which is again diversity and inclusion. Can you also share some of your successful initiatives or programs which you have implemented to promote diversity, like in general, not in any specific organization also, like as a leader, how do you approach this problem?
Absolutely. See, there is plethora of things that are happening in the market from DEI initiatives today for right reason. instead of initiatives which are running in today, I want to give a different perspective around where do we need to put more energies to get this needle moving further, right? So, from a last 10 to 20, the importance of diversity that we used to talk earlier, now it has become a no-brainer. People are aware, at least in the corporate ecosystem, people are aware about the importance of having diversity. Now we need to push ourselves towards, while diversity, don't stop anything there, let's continue, but we need to start putting emphasis on our inclusion. Diversity is happening, people are gender equality or neutrality is, we will get there, we are going to get there, but is the voices being heard, is are those people who have been hired across the layers, are they the key decision makers, are there being inclusions in everything? That is going to be very critical for us now, from a corporate perspective. But if we are coming out of corporate, let's look at our society, the roots, or the granular level. When we were kids, the amount of learning, amount of awareness about diversity or equality or inclusion was I don't know how much all of us had, and if it was consistent enough. Now at least our kids are having that. It's a generational shift. There is a lot of societal shift which needs to have take place. So at least one leg of it with us, it has come up. Now with our kids, we have to start driving that diversity, equality, and inclusion right up from their childhood and from our homes, from our respective kitchens, from our respective living rooms. That's a generational shift which automatically will take care. But at the corporate, the emphasis on inclusion has to happen at all levels.
Totally agree. But only one point I just wanted to say here is like definitely there is lots of initiatives happening in most of the organization, but still I see there are some gap in startup culture as well, right? Because we as a tier leader, we try to promote diversity, inclusion, equity, everything, right? But do you have the right leader to support that cause, right? Is your business ready for that, right? So sometimes I see some kind of gap over there. But again, like as you have mentioned, definitely lots of organization have moved from diversity to inclusion part. I do agree.
Absolutely, man. So it's also boils down to the speed at which a startup wants to operate. So from that angle, do you have enough supply of talent across all levels from a gender perspective? That also adds in there. Do you want to wait? Do you want to move ahead? It's a catch-22 situation which happens at a recruiter level, and some of the initiatives breaks over there on how should we enforce that and ensure the timelines are also sort of taken care. So there, that friction comes in today. Even today, it happens not only at startup, at multiple other companies, also at the bottom, at the right, at the operational level, at the recruiter level, it happens. Now, how firm that recruiter is all about and how swiftly they can move into the market and get that up.
Agree. Totally agree because like this startups and everything, they try to move so fast, and when you are moving fast, again, like you try to see what skill is required and how can you fill that role, right?
Exactly.
Instead of focusing on other different lenses and everything. Great. With the interest of time, just last question I want to ask you, Burli, is what lessons have you learned from your experiences that you believe are important for others in the field of recruiting?
Right. Right. I think I spoke in multiple in today's conversation already in multiple questions there. One is have patience and belief in yourself, and be a good human being. This is what I carry, and this is what I sort of impart to my kid as well. Um, and then chase the of course dreams are good, but chase the expertise, the excellence, and ensure that there is no perfection for excellence. It has to keep incrementally increasing, and the moment you start doing that, automatically all that whatever you dreamt about in terms of reaching to a bigger roles, bigger positions, all those dreams, that will automatically follow you. I would look at it that way. I don't want me to follow them, I want them to follow me. If I have to ensure that they should follow me, all of these things should be done right.
I totally do echo Burli because like whatever you are best with, like try to be more better version of that, and like rest other things will follow across, right?
Absolutely.
Even I am a firm believer of that. Like throughout my career, I have never looked, hey, what compensation this company is going to pay me and all
Yeah.
those things, right? I tried to do my work done, and because of that I have grown in my career as well. Great. With this, I think we are almost on the time, and I would like to thank you so much for your time. And it is an interesting discussion, definitely helpful for our recruiters, budding leaders as well. So thank you so much, Burli. Lovely talking to you, and uh, we would love to see you in other podcasts or other conversation as well. And thank you for supporting I am Recruiter community.
Absolutely, man. It's a real pleasure. I didn't even realize we went over the time already. Thanks a ton for such an engaging conversation. I think whatever I could do little to the community, I was able to share, and I hope it does help the folks out there. And certainly look forward for a much more conversation, Prafulla, anytime. Let me know wherever, whatever the bit I can do for this community. Happy to jump in. Have a fantastic day.
Sure, sure. Thanks.